As Baltimore City student test scores drop to some of the lowest in the country, the CEO of the school system continues to see her earnings hit new highs.
Project Baltimore dug into Dr. Sonja Santelises' employment contract and found taxpayers are paying for a lot more than they may realize, over $100,000 more.
This is the employment contract for Baltimore City School CEO, Dr. Sonja Santelises. 19 pages that lay out her responsibilities, expectations, and compensation. When it took effect in 2020, this contract became possibly the most lucrative contract ever signed by one of Maryland's 24 school superintendents. But it's not until you read all 19 pages that you begin to understand how lucrative it really is.
What you've dug out is significant taxpayer cost that has never had sunshine on it in the past.
Adam Andrzejewski is the founder of OpenTheBooks.com, a government watchdog organization that tracks public spending. He has spent much of his career reading government employment contracts, and he is stunned by what we found in this one.
I think taxpayers will rightfully be upset about what you've uncovered when you followed the money.
During Dr. Santelises' contract year that ended on June 30th, 2022, she earned a base salary of more than $333,000, which for a school leader is the highest in the state among those 24 public school districts. But if you continue to read through her contract, you'll see there's a lot of added compensation. Every year, she gets nearly $10,000 for a car allowance. She also gets more than $53,000 in deferred compensation towards retirement, which is in addition to her state pension retirement.
I mean, we all knew about the gold-plated public employee pension plans, but who knew that taxpayers were funding tens of thousands of dollars into a second retirement plan?
But that's still not all. According to the CEO's contract, she gets 59 paid days off a year, 38 vacation days, 18 sick days, and 3 personal days. That's nearly 12 weeks of taxpayer-funded paid time off, which does not include the 13 paid holidays throughout the year.
It's 25% of the year. 1 out of every 4 days, she's paid to stay home.
But what if the CEO doesn't take 12 weeks off? Well, her contract says she can cash out much of what she doesn't use. During her last contract year, she cashed out more than $48,000 in unused paid leave. Add that to the rest of her compensation, and Dr. Santelises collected a total of nearly $445,000.
It's milking taxpayers like dairy cows. We put a premium on those leaders locally that say they're going to educate our children. And so we need to hold, at the end of the day, we need to hold them accountable.
And her contract does hold her accountable. Page 13 says the board will evaluate the CEO in part on how she demonstrated improvement in the academic performance of students in the city schools. But is that happening? Graduation rates, attendance, and college enrollment are all lower than when the CEO took office in 2016. And the most recent federal test scores released last month show Baltimore City students scored an all-time low since testing began in 2009 when compared to the large city national average.
You know, the ship is taking on water. There's no question about that.
Anaban Basu is an economist who served on the Baltimore City School Board from 2005 to 2011. When Project Baltimore interviewed him earlier this year, Basu defended the CEO's earnings, saying Baltimore City is the hardest school system in the state to run. And in her time, the city as a whole has struggled, especially after the riots following the death of Freddie Gray.
Since 2015, Baltimore City has been in socioeconomic disequilibrium. Sonja Santelises has been presiding over that school system during this period. It's tough. It's tough to make improvement when times are like this. And so what I'm suggesting to you is that it is conceivable that what she has done is stemmed decay that otherwise would have transpired.
Dr. Santelises' contract was approved by the school board. We reached out to the board for comment and received this statement, which says in part, Dr. Sonja Santelises has been an incredible champion for city schools for nearly 6 years. Our CEO is worth every cent of her salary, aligning with her experience, skills, and education. The statement also pointed to several areas of success, including an increase in pre-K enrollment and a decrease in the dropout rate.
You can't educate children gainfully in the classroom if you're funding an expensive education bureaucracy, as the rising taxes and the declining student test scores clearly illustrate.
I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.